How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today got a bit more of a simple, chilled mission. It's called Trailer with New Equipment. It's an off-road scout trailer. I've not seen them before on any previous phases. They don't seem to do anything though. I was hoping originally it'd be like a little scout version of a, say, maintenance trailer or something, but it just seems to be like a mission trailer, really, like a scout version of a special objective trailer that I've got to go to Yellow Brick Road for, pretty much on the other side of that map, and then bring it back to the old sawmill, which is the same area that I was taking stuff to yesterday. It's like one of the main contracts on this phase, really. So I'm working my way. It's not too another couple of missions, and I'll be unlocking that Taiga. I can't remember the phone number or whatever comes after it. Yeah, the new Taiga. So for this one, as it's well, for one, you're picking up a scout trailer. Technically speaking, to be honest, you probably could just take a truck and winch it to the back of your truck, but as far as actually dropping it off at the sawmill, you kind of just drive into the yellow box and it accepts it when you basically, if you're just winching it on a truck, I don't think the mission will accept it. You'll have to get some kind of scout to physically attach it. So for doing this, yeah, you're going to need a scout. I'm obviously going to bring the goddamn professional because he's a beast. Scouts like the Tatrin are kind of counted out, really, because again, they can't have trailers, so even if you did this mission with the Tatrin, you're going to have to winch it just like you would with trucks and everything anyway, and you're going to need some kind of scout. Not saying the Tatrin would be a bad one to do this with, though. Could take, well, yeah, the Tatrin and a loaf. The loaf packs very nicely on the Tatrin's roof. It's usually weighted, like, it's planted well enough that it doesn't really matter tipping over wise and all the rest of it, and yeah, you can get it done that way. But to be honest, I've been wanting to use this Voron Grad, have an excuse to kind of bring it out for a mission, and this kind of worked out pretty well because it's a bit of a smaller, lighter truck. The high gear is still really nice in it. It's a lot like the Phoenix, so it's very lenient with a high gear. Even though this whole torque nerf thing is going on, it's still very sort of generous and lenient. Yeah, so it was a nice excuse to drive that. I've got to cut through a few trees, just blast to the other side of the Yellow Brick Road map, really, so I don't really need like a big fat chunky truck. Don't necessarily need like a load of supplies. I've got obviously a loaf with a roof rack and everything, but this thing's pretty good with fuel. Again, I drove the Voron AE the other day, and it's definitely a solid vehicle. It's a bit like this, but with diffs always on. It's just the steering I really don't like, whereas the steering on this is really nice, and it's got quite a nice amount of like drifting, but the steering's quick enough to catch it and all the rest of it. So yeah, pretty good vehicle. So yeah, over to Yellow Brick, or what was it? Yellow Rock National Forest. I'll still probably never remember. Yellow Brick Road will do. Again, there's a lot of white, hazy fogginess going on this map. Even when you're in like absolute midday, it sort of looks like it's sun's getting ready to set. So yeah, I mean, as far as when you first load the map up, it's like in the top right corner, so I'm going to cut through the trees, follow along the road, through the warehouse section, cut across the river, up into the snowy section, round the back of the watchtower, join back on the road, and then get it there. And to be honest, I've kind of been looking at the different missions. I've got a couple of different ones, like today this is part of the whole the second load of contracts, so it is working towards the sawmill one. It's just I have to go and get this trailer. I also would like to pretty soon do the gateway missions where you get access to the gateway. But if you look where the gateways are on Lowlands, another gateway that's at like the north of the map doesn't really seem like I'm too desperate to unlock that one. The one that's in the top corner of this map, if you unlocked that first, it'd be a lot easier to get this trailer, but as you'll see, this really isn't a difficult mission anyway, and preferably, I don't know 100% yet, but I'd like to get the sawmill missions done, unlock the Taiga, and then for missions like, for example, unlocking the gateways, I can use the Taiga, because once I get that, assuming, touchwood, hopefully it's like just a decent enough truck, and then yeah, I'd like to use that for like a couple of missions since it's a new truck. So I don't want to complete too many of the missions, and then by the time I unlock the Taiga, I've near enough done everything in this phase anyway. As I was driving around earlier, I was trying to sort of think with the mud and all the rest of it. Like with the Derry, I don't think it's enough, like the engine they've added, but I don't think it's completely terrible. But like I remember on the phase 5 when I was going through certain sections, I was how I've said before, there's like super mud and then death mud and super snow and death snow and so on. And then I was sort of saying in the last phase, there's like it's more like slick mud where it's just makes your wheels spin a hell of a lot. I have a bit of a crash here, but I didn't see the concrete barriers. Hit them, ramped over. I will just say quickly though, one nice thing if you have the single track tyres on the Voron Grad is it sits, like you can see the sideboard makes me lean towards my tyres, which is enough so you can fire the engine up and get yourself out of it anyway. I mean, again, I've got a goddamn horse there, but yeah, that's one nice thing with the Grad that I always preferred, like having the single track tyres because of that. Just generally the way it's weighted. Yeah, when I was driving around though, it's like, I think part of it, there's definitely a whole torque nerf thing that seems to have happened, but the mud, quite often when I was like looking at, well, driving a few trucks, sorry, and I've looked at various bits of footage, and yeah, I think a lot of it is like, it's not necessarily death mud levels, but I think it's like sort of like really slick again, where you spend a lot of your time wheel spinning, even if you've got the best grippiest tyres in the game and all the rest of it. So I think it's kind of getting towards that again, where one possible nice thing that would fix it would be a little bit of a boost on the grip stats on some of the tyres. I could have messed around if I wanted and tried. Well, tried. I would have succeeded because I'm stubborn enough to sit there until I do it. It's pretty easy to get the loaf back in the sideboard, but once I get to this other side of the map anyway, I'm going to have to just get the loaf out the sideboard and start towing this trailer anyway. I suppose, in theory, not that it necessarily worth it like to set out and do it, but it wouldn't do any harm really. You could have the loaf in the sideboard, attach the trailer. I'm pretty certain if you get it lined up right, it'd still attach the trailer when the loaf's in the sideboard, and then just drive the Voron Grad or whatever vehicle you take with you. Or obviously I could do what I'm doing now, and if I just had the trailer on the loaf, it wouldn't really make much difference. So certain sections like that, it's just having none of that to drop it down into auto. But you could see there, it didn't stall in the higher range gear, so this thing, I think it might flash up the stalling icon. You know, I can't really remember though. It's definitely one of them. It's like one of the most difficult, you're least likely to ever see the stalling icon. I believe it can. I think back when I first tested this, it didn't do the stalling icon, but since then we've had a few little what feel like power drops, and I think it started doing it after one of them. But yeah, it's definitely very lenient. It doesn't, and because it doesn't do the stalling thing quick, you've got time to stick it into auto, and it, I don't know, sort of feels like it holds a bit of its pace a bit better. Once you let go of the rev sometimes, it just, your truck stops clawing forward, settles down into the holes it's kind of dug when you've been wheel spinning, and really sits itself in the mud. Whereas yeah, this thing, you've got time to jump it down into auto and keep it pinned and get out of there. And considering it has, like, the diffs aren't always on, it's handling these maps pretty well, because it's not the heaviest of vehicles, so it's kind of like a, I don't know, if you get vehicles that are too light, they don't really plant themselves very well in the snow, and maybe this won't, to be fair. I am driving along like the little tracks left in the snow at the minute, which thankfully you can at least sit in high gear, and as long as you roughly follow the tracks, you're alright. And so far, this second map, I've not done loads on it, but I quite like this map as well. It's not, I don't like it as much as the Lowlands map, but I'd definitely say it's still up there in like the realm of maps that I'm enjoying so far. In most parts, they haven't really punished you too much. You get little patches of snow like that, and you can see where the tracks are just missing, and then it quickly becomes sort of super snow where it's going to force you out of high gear and make you creep at a mile an hour or two. In theory, I could have kept following the snow tracks down towards the corner of the map, but I remember doing this on the live stream, and there was just a bit of a ledge to jump off. I don't really want to risk jumping off and then rolling. Chances of rolling both vehicles are probably slim to none with the old goddamn horse, but still. I'll kind of like, to a degree, I like to do the missions a little bit more systematically than on the live streams. It's quite nice to, especially with the mods and that, and just go flying around and all the rest of it, because it's got a bit of a quicker pace to it, which I think probably, possibly anyway, works a bit better with the live streams. But yeah, that's why when I get to like the rock slides and stuff and I try climbing over them, I already know, in like, if it was just me doing it and I wasn't making a video and all the rest of it, I could just send the loaf straight over, winch myself over. But each time I get there with a different vehicle or whatever, I still give it a good few minutes of trying to climb over, seeing what the trucks can do. Always got me loaf as the backup. I wouldn't mind getting this mission done soon as well, the just to get the fuel station on this map. To be fair though, the Voron's pretty decent on fuel. We're now travelled most of the way from the garage to the gateway on lowlands, and now right across this map. Which again, I still think the route I've just taken is a much better route than if you were to follow the main road all the way around, because you've just got all those icy sections that are just going to force you to crunch and climb through ice. The way I go, I don't know, it's pretty risk-free. There's not really much hassle. There's a little muddy section, but it's nothing. It doesn't even really act as like super mud or anything. You can still stay in high range going through it. So yeah, got here anyway, so stick the old trailer. And yeah, that's the trailer. Like I said, I originally was hoping it'd be like we'd get some repairs and fuel on it and all the rest of it. I really don't know why. I just seen Off-Road Scout trailer and yeah, I got excited. Thought they'd finally gifted my loaf a present for Christmas, but no. It would have been cool if he has his own little like scout version of a maintenance trailer. So yeah, pretty much going to double back on myself. Again, I still think this is the quickest, best route through the map to get to like the top right hand corner. Anyway, obviously if you're going to go to like the top left hand corner, yeah, there's like in fairness, if you're going to go to the top left, the road is about as straight as you're going to get towards the top left to like where the first watchtower was. I need to do that mission as well really to unlock the last watchtower, but to be fair, I've already kind of done the exploration video. I've pretty much got all this map uncovered anyway, so I wouldn't say I'm like desperate to get that one out in the next day or two. Yeah, as I said, I could just get the Voron Grad, stick a winch to the loaf and do it that way, but I like me loaf time. I've got no problem driving this around. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because he's a goddamn professional, but it saves me bacon all the time. Yeah, I was like, sod it, it's a scout mission, the scout trailer. I just remembered now that I was like, oh yeah, I best save the footage quickly. It's the last thing I want to do. Put in some good old loaf time and not get the footage of it. But again, you got to admit, it'd be pretty cool if this trailer did actually have, like, it was a little supplies trailer. It's about time the scouts had something like that, because they got the little scout fuel trailer, but they haven't even really got anything in the way of like a scout trailer that has repairs and stuff on it, which I think would be pretty cool. It'd be cool if they did as well, like someone was saying with the mods that do it, where you can have certain cargo that I believe acts as like repair points and stuff. It'd be pretty cool if they did something like that as well. Not that it necessarily like, well, the good thing is it wouldn't really change the nature of the game completely. You'd still have to pre-plan like getting the cargo and stashing it in certain locations, which I do now anyway with loafs and the odd maintenance trailer. So yeah, it wouldn't really make it, and I don't know, it wouldn't bring anything to the game that you couldn't already do if you really wanted to begin with, but just still be quite a nice little feature going on. See my little red loaf stashed in the warehouse there. Another goddamn horse, just in case. There's a little glitch going on there. Yeah, in theory, I could drive straight ahead, but there's a steep, snowy ledge here. It's a little bit iffy with trucks, but the loaf, again, is a goddamn beast, and yeah, you can usually handle it, even though you're going on a bit of a diagonal, get the trailer bumping over them rocks. Keep it pinned, and yeah, that cuts out like going wide around the back of the watchtower and all the rest of it. And that's the thing, like these days with the loaf, I was looking at the times, like when I got to the gateway, and I just drove from like the gateway to this trailer with the Voron Grad, and then now I'm driving back from the trailer to the gateway with the loaf and the trailer. It was only about, what was it? It was like 7.5 or 8 minutes for the Voron Grad to get from like one end to the other, and this thing was I'm sure it was like 30-40 seconds longer, which is not bad really, considering I'm now towing a trailer as well, and I'm in a Scout. So, especially since it's got that newer engine, it takes damage pretty easy, the newer engine, but if you stick a roof rack on, that's not really much of an issue anyway. But other than that, it's got quite a nice pace, like jumping through the gears, particularly if you tap L1. I always do it, like a recommendation to everybody. If you don't already do it, mash L1 or whatever button allows you to like manually change the gears, because even when you're in auto it'll just keep jumping higher up the gears, and if you sit there and naturally let it go from first gear to second, third, fourth, it can take a while. If you mash the gears, you'll jump from like first gear to fourth or fifth, and you just immediately go in a lot quicker. But yeah, this thing still got pretty good pace, so even now in this phase where there has been a bit of a drop in the torque and the power delivery and all the rest of it, it's not really feeling it. You can a little bit, I'll admit, but definitely not that bad at all. It's pretty low on the scale of like vehicles I've been testing so far. Some feel pretty badly affected by it, others not really at all. And yeah, this is doing its job. It's good old Lo4f. Sections like this that are just slow, it can get through it, but it was with the Voron though. This is where I drove through on the way back, and it was just bogs down immediately, doesn't let you get out at high range. And that's where I think you're not necessarily bogged down like you look like you're stuck and you're wading through deep mud or all the rest of it. Yeah, I think there might be an element of like slickness going on where it just makes you do a lot of wheel spinning, so you're bleeding a lot of your power and grip. Well, yeah, lack of grip. You just wheel spinning, so you're chucking all that power away doing nothing, and that's where it feels like it's capped a lot of vehicles, regardless of what power and weight and all the rest of it. It's yeah, it might be coming down to the tyres to a degree. But overall though, I'm still enjoying the phase. I think the amount of missions as well, I'm trying to think, I've still got a fair amount on the sawmill missions to do. I think I've still got a good 6, yeah, probably after this, maybe 6 missions left. I think there's only 2 or 3 missions to go though before I can unlock the Taiga, so I can get that, and then I've still got 2 or 3 missions left with the sawmill. There's also the last bunch of contracts I've got to do. Yeah, that ice watch to unlock this watchtower. There's a couple. It looks like there'll be sort of bigger missions. You've got to do like medium planks. Yeah, for whatever reason they've added like different lengths of planks to this one, just on top of the logs as well. I would like to do a logging mission pretty soon as well and get this Japanese toaster forester. I wish there was more. You know, instead of the contracts, just the missions themselves. I wish there was a couple in there that were just like some simple logging missions, just as an excuse, because if there was an easy one that just said 2 or 3 medium logs across the map, I would have done a video on that by now with the forester. But yeah, in the end they're being like quite gigantic missions with a lot of elements to them. So we'll see. If it ends up being a pretty massive mission, it's quite a handy one that I can sort of do in a live stream or something instead. So that's the bit I just went through there as well, with all the mud and all the rest of it. That was probably like the slowest part of this map now. I can pretty much drop the hammer and cruise, and yeah, like I said, they're about the same speed, because especially it feels like there might have been a couple of mile an hour knocked off the high range, high gear speed. So I'm going about the same speed as I would be in the Voron Grad. And yeah, considering like right the way across the map, it was again, I can't. It was 7 minutes something versus 8 minutes something. But yeah, I think this was about 30-40 seconds slower, which, like I say, for towing a trailer and everything as well, is pretty decent. And this would probably actually win technically, but because I hit that concrete barrier and like flipped the Voron Grad, I edited that time out as well, so I won't hold that against the Grad, as that was my my skillful driving. I didn't even see that concrete barrier. Came out of nowhere. It's nice that there's a lamppost on that side. You don't even have to mess around. Fling a winch out and we're good to go. Get a bit of a tank slapper going on there. That's all that raw horsepower. Couldn't keep it stuck to the road. But yeah, overall, to be honest, I quite like this mission. It was just a good excuse to go for a little cruise with a loaf, see it handle its business. I mean, I definitely take a loaf pretty much everywhere I go, but I'm usually paired with a truck to, yeah. Again, I mean, it's like a multi-purpose Swiss Army roof rack every time you take it with a truck, but to, yeah, actually have an excuse, because they don't really do a lot as far as, like, scout trailers go on these maps. I know there is a little bit here and there, but to be fair, it's not like I'd exactly want them to start flooding us with scout missions, just because, I don't know, the way they've had to punish scouts versus trucks, for some reason the high gear in the like fastest gearbox in the scouts goes slower than the trucks, which in real life you'd assume like a CK 1500 would be able to go faster than like some big rig 18 wheeler type thing. And yeah, back to Lowlands, and then I've now got to go to the old sawmill, so to be honest it's pretty damn close to the garage where like I first set off anyway. I like flying down the hill, I don't know why, even though it rarely ends. It rarely ends objectively well, but it's still pretty funny. And again, that's why I really like this section here, because you might hit the odd tiny patch where it slows you down, but generally speaking you can actually wiggle your way through this whole river section. Like, it's interesting how they haven't really put any specific roads going through this entire section, and to drive up and down it not only feels like pretty nice view wise, driving wise, all the rest of it, but it feels pretty organic and realistic and accurate and all the rest of it. And then further down the river, where there is actually a road kind of snaking through the river, that thing's like an absolute... Again, I've been through there in like, yeah, the Zixes, the Dan, the Dolphin, Taiga, the ANK, they all just hit the certain patches where they go horrifically slow. Yeah, I just keep trying to stick to this section as much as I can, because it's pretty cool. You don't even necessarily need to hit the bits that are like the most shallow either. It depends. There is some bits like I hit that patch there and it slowed me down quite a bit. I think there's a little bit like my tyres are sinking in now. Not, I mean, I'm still ticking along and everything, but yeah, certain sections are like pretty much just hard compact ground along here, and then you get the odd little slightly boggy section, but it's still pretty shallow overall. It's funny, I got a little flash of the stall in there, but then it went by itself as well, so don't know what it had planned for that one. I think this might have been the section where I got stuck on the live stream. I think it was around there where I drove in with a loaf, and then I just went and got the what was it, Bartelby's P12, I think it might have been. But yeah, like you see that I could, like, you can get out of it, but I just kind of looped. I did a hard right as soon as I started hitting the mud, and thankfully there was just enough grip to sort of do a little bit of a U-turn and get out of there. And yeah, I think that's the only little patch of mud there where, again, if I sat there flooring it long enough, but fling an old winch out, that's one thing I've always liked with the loaf. It's got some pretty good reach with the winch, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just I'm used to it or what, but I seem to be pretty damn accurate with hitting the winch point I want with the loaf versus a lot of other trucks. They for whatever reason, the winch point selection doesn't go well for me, but it usually does in this. Again, it's goddamn professional, been loaf trained. Now to get it done now. So I can't believe how close it is to Christmas already. I don't know how quick this month's gone. Well, like the last bit of the year feels like it's gone really quick, to be honest. Especially when you think this game, when did they release it? Was it on like the 9th of December or somewhere around there? And yeah, since then it's like the last couple of weeks has just absolutely flown by. It's certainly been good having like new fresh stuff, fresh content and everything. And yeah, overall, like I say, I think this phase has been a pretty good success. It's kind of about where I was hoping it'd be, really. Certainly prefer this map over the Phase 5 maps, but I still did quite like the Phase 5 maps. But yeah, this is just for whatever reason, just feels like it flows fairly well. Like I said, there's the odd little thing where they're a bit excessive with the mud, or for example here, for whatever reason, around this patch where it's like where you first leave the main garage, the snow here is like death snow easily. It's not just like my loaf got stuck there, but when I drove the P16 through the other day, that thing got completely stuck on flat ground as well, just driving across snow that only seems to be like 6 inches deep or something. It's not even a lot. And yeah, the snow's absolutely killing it along there. But certain other patches I've drove through and it seems normal. I don't know what it is about the snow near that road, but it's some serious like OP snow. So that's why I keep trying to wiggle like left and right, trying to hit the narrowest patches of snow. But it doesn't really bog you down on these bits. It didn't yesterday or the day before when I was driving the Twin Steer and the Dolphin up here as well. But yeah, God knows, just trying to avoid it. That's the best bet. And that's another reason why I like the Lo4f as well, because he's got the turning circle of a goddamn housefly. So yeah. Anytime you change your mind at the last second, weaving left and right, you can nip through the trees and all the rest of it. And yeah, onto the sawmill. It's another one in the bag. I think the ones after this are like a lot longer. That's what she said. Yeah, so there'll be more like, but I think I'll unlock a group of missions. If it's not after doing this mission, it'll be the one, like, I'll do one more mission and then I think I unlock like a little group of them and I can get on with actually unlocking the Taiga properly. Money wise, I think it's about 7 odd grand, considering you're just grabbing a trailer and flying back. It's not really that bad. I mean, again as well, I've left various vehicles. I think I had the Zix that was at the second watchtower, so pretty close to that trailer I just dropped off, so strictly speaking I could have done this mission quicker if I just grabbed the truck that was close by. So yeah, 7 grand, considering some of the missions where you got to collect like 4 to 8 pieces of cargo and drop them off and all that. They're only paying like 10, 11 grand really. A lot of the garage missions as well were sort of paying around there, so it could be worse. And then yeah, just had to go back for a little drive. See, that snow absolutely just nails through that, but for whatever reason, yeah, the snow down after you leave the garage is a beast. And yeah, like you say, fuel, this thing will go forever, and it's got like another 120 litres on board, so do about 20 laps of these maps. But yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, thanks for my Patreon members. Get yourself a Lo4f, of course, especially for this one. And yeah, I'll be back soon.